Ish, the EFF is really imploding. Things are not going well for Julius Malema. But before we get into the main stories today, ladies and gentlemen, can I please once again remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. So before we get into the main news story, let's look across the pond to Blighty for some more amusement. So in Wales, a country that, according to the March 2021 consensus, had 2.9 million white residents, which made up a population count of around 95.6% white population, diversity experts have told librarians in buildings that in order to eradicate systematic racism by 2030, systematic racism, to less than 4% of the population, what they actually need to do is avoid arranging meetings in old racist buildings. Because you see, anything built in the colonial era must be racist, which I suppose to a degree also translates into the churches, which is why the Church of England is calling for reparations and crimes against racism to be addressed by the church itself, because nothing quite says racism like a country with 96% white people. Whilst referencing the church, I actually thought I would share with you a nonsense story by the Daily Mail. I say nonsense, it's actually quite an interesting story, at least I found it interesting, and that is the story of British filmmaker David Ralph, who attempted to do a documentary on the Shroud of Turin. So for those of you who don't know, the Shroud of Turin is a Catholic icon, and basically it's meant to be the cloth that was laid over Jesus when he died. Possibly some claim that when he was resurrected, maybe there was this light and this plasma and it burnt onto the cloth and carries with it the revealed image of Jesus on this cloth. The problem is that some people have claimed that the actual cloth itself was fake because it was found during the Crusade period when fake icons from the crucifixion were all the norm. But you see, the problem is that many people that have carbon dated it do say that the actual carbon dating does go back to the time of Jesus, and the recreation of the actual Shroud of Turin is actually very difficult to do. In fact, even modern people are unable to do it. So how it could have been done before now remains a question. Anyway, this filmmaker says that he went out to prove that it was fake and then ended up determining that it was real. You let me know in the comment section below. Is it real? Is it fake? I don't know. Have you even heard of this before? Still, interesting news article. So on to other news articles. Apparently, the British passport is now no longer worth anything in Europe because they are now introducing a €7 visa to anybody who's from Britain who wishes to go into the Schengen area. Haven't seen this for a while. What it does ultimately mean is that the British passport is now worthless. On to some news closer to home. The President of the Republic has signed an NHR Health Compact. Now, for those of you who don't know what a health compact is, it's basically the President trying to say, I've cajoled private entities, they signed this agreement with me, everybody's in agreement that we should do this, isn't it great? Well, it's failed when it comes through to the NHR. You see, what happened is the President noticed that after the signing of the NHR bill, many trade unions, specifically health-related trade unions, and private institutions, hospitals and so forth, came out and basically said that they weren't very happy with the NHR in its current format. In fact, Sarkolika and many others, Salad Date, for example, indicated that they would be suing the government for the actual clauses contained within the Act, noticeably on the grounds of the fact that they were unconstitutional. So in order to cajole people, the President said that he would do this health compact. Now, the actual individuals who he needed to cajole were actually Business Unity South Africa, the South African Health Professionals Collaboration, which represents 25,000 health professionals, and the South African Medical Association, SAMA, which represents 12,000 medical practitioners. Because ultimately, if you're determining the future of medical practitioners, you want to speak to them so that they don't leave the country. Because let's face it, medical skills are in demand around the world. Unfortunately for the President, all those people basically told the President to do one and said they wouldn't be signing his health compact. So the President went and signed one anyway, and the signatories of it were rather telling. Long story short, it included the President, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Science and Innovation, involved COSATU, another trade union, Domestic Nurses of South Africa Union, and a bunch of medical councils, academics basically, and a few traditional health organizations. Traditional health. In any case, the actual people that the President needed weren't there. So when in doubt, just sign it anyway and just hope that the people you sign it with were any good. But signing a compact with yourself, COSATU, isn't really kind of convincing anybody that this is a good idea, is it? In fact, if anything, it's actually telling everybody this isn't a good idea because no one wants to sign your compact. Talking of health, let's get on to the story of M-pox, because we can't call it monkeypox anymore. Because for those of you who don't recall, monkeypox was originally found in the Congo, and calling it monkeypox would be racist for obvious reasons. Now the spread of M-pox in South Africa is currently underway, but it isn't actually underway in the way that you would traditionally think. Many have noticed that the South African Defence Force has recently been undergoing operations in the Congo, and they may have brought the virus back to South Africa. Anyway, according to the WHO, M-pox is not the new COVID. They've known about the virus for some time, they know how to treat it, and they know what vaccines are required. However, as News 24 highlights, it is generally only spread between men who are having fun with men. And this has led individuals to make various memes around the actual real cure for M-pox. You can let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. So on to the main news story. Yes, Malema is really going for broke with his political party. He really seems like he is gunning for everybody. The latest news was that he was indirectly attacking Ndlozi, his right-hand man. I mean, he's going to be his right-hand man now. I mean, Floyd left. And according to some of the news articles, the reason he was attacking his senior leadership was because many of them were silent about the departure of Floyd Shivambu, which led him to question whether they themselves were going to be departing the party itself. Ndlozi, also known as the Ice Boy, who loves Julius Malema, would come as a surprise to all of us. We have made numerous jokes about the relationship between the two, but jokes aside, the two are actually relatively solid. They've been there for a very long time, and they don't generally tend to have ill words for each other. So whilst Julius Malema may be hurt by the departure of Floyd, and he may be feeling the need to re-exert control over his party, attacking Ndlozi doesn't really seem like a good idea. So why do people actually start to think that there would be a fracture between the two? Well, apart from Julius indirectly attacking him for not standing up for him, there was a post on X which Ndlozi's wife actually liked. And you see, the problem inevitably became that the post on X, which she liked, was actually around his departure to the MK party, which led some to claim that maybe he was the next to leave. And the wife knew that, and so she was like liking posts because, he was going to make the same announcement soon. Well, this led to some parties on X today falsely claiming that he had resigned from the EFF. I say falsely resigning because it may ultimately prove to be true. At the time of recording, the EFF was claiming through their spokesperson that this was rubbish, but it might not be rubbish. You see, the problem inevitably becomes in that what Julius is attempting to do at the moment is control his party through fear and domination of the party itself. And many of them are finding that they don't find his leadership qualities at the moment to be palatable because of those very characteristics. Were Julius to continue doing this, it's ultimately not really going to land up very good for him. But one thing that we can say, regardless of how we consider the situation, is that the EFF in its current growth trajectory is unlikely to grow between now and the next election. It may be that, much like what John had to do when he took over from Mmusi Maimane, that the EFF may have to go through a period of introspection whereby control over the party needs to be re-exerted. Whilst doing that, it's very difficult to grow your party, as John Steenhuisen found out. So what can I say? Well, I can say that if Julius wants his party to remain a thing, he may ultimately have to spend all of his time cajoling his party and reasserting his will over the party, which does mean a neglect of canvassing for new voters. Which does ultimately mean that between now and the next election, the EFF is unlikely to grow in terms of its voter base. But you can tell me what you think in the comment section below. And for those of you who don't know, we do have a second channel called Retard Dunistan. And in Retard Dunistan, I actually interviewed the Crown Prince of the Petty People about the very topic of the EFF. If you haven't already, you can go over to that channel and watch that interview itself. But until next time, you can let me know what you think in the comment section below about the Turin Shroud. Let me know what you think about M-pox. And what do you think of the whole Julius scenario? In any case, until next time, see you soon.
Kościół od lat niszczony przez modernizm zapomniał, że jest kościołem walczącym, że ma stać na straży prawdy, na straży wartości. Dzisiaj niestety hierarchowie Kościoła katolickiego klękają nie przed swoim Bogiem. Tutaj jest Polska. Tutaj królem jest Jezus Chrystus. My jesteśmy Kościołem walczącym. Będziemy walczyć do końca. I gdy będzie trzeba, staniemy w obronie naszej wiary. Cokolwiek by nas spotkać miało.
Wiecie, czego oni się boją? Tego się boją! Tego się boją! Marksiści, lewacy! Tego się boją!